Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. My name's Julie Wyatt. I'm in Ward 1 in the Eastover area, and I'm in this group of Jack Savings for Jackson. We are a nonpartisan group, people who are committed to saving our city, coming together and brainstorm about things that we can do and take action. And so we've been meeting since last April. And it's very grassroots, and none of us are experts at this and trying to come together. Tonight we're going to have Jeff Good, that most of y'all know. He draws a crowd. I'm just meeting Jeff for the first night, but Jeff, you are a leader in our community, and we thank you for the businesses you built and everything you poured into us. And tonight, Jeff has good ideas, but all of us need to put our heads together and work together. This is not going to be a negative, venting session. We need solutions. We've got big problems. We all know that, and we need to move forward together. So thank y'all for being here, and I will let Jeff.
You're very kind. Thank you. It is wonderful to be asked to be here, but I realize that all of you are here because you thought my friend Jonathan Lee was going to be here as well. I have no false pride at all that you came out for me. Jonathan, this week, he found out a couple days ago or last week that he was going to be called out this morning. We all worked very hard on Jonathan's campaign 10 years ago. After he lost the mayor's race, he was headhunted, and he took a job with a major medical manufacturing company, started being a road warrior, and he was headhunted recently again about a year ago, and he's working for a consulting firm. He travels around the nation working with hospitals, and he got called away for something that was pretty important, so he wanted to apologize, and he's excited about batting cleanup for me next month, when everything that I say, he says, whatever Jeff said, just take the opposite of. I did not come prepared with a speech. Because I really think that would be disgenuine. I'm not running for anything. I don't have anything to sell. I have bribed you with cards because I would like you to come to my restaurant and enjoy a treat on me. What I think I'd like to do just quickly is I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself and who I am and how I landed here and blossomed a little bit, and then just jump right into my experience, because Bravo will be 30 years old next April. So I've been doing restaurant work in Northeast Jackson for 30 years. So I've had a lot of experience with a lot of the challenges that we have as a city. Population decline, wealth decline, disinvestment, infrastructure, crime, educational base and the young men and women that are coming to work with us now versus 30 years ago, and just I've seen a number of things happen. So I can speak truthfully about that. I don't know that I can speak intelligently about anything, but I can speak truthfully. But maybe just to back up, just to go forward, I moved here my senior year of high school from Salt Lake City, Utah. So I was raised in Salt Lake City. My dad has been in higher education his entire life. He was the vice president of a small Methodist liberal arts school called Westminster that was in Salt Lake. He came during my junior year. He started looking for a job. It was time for him to leave that college, and he told us that summer that we were moving to Jackson, Mississippi, to Millsaps, and he was the dean of students at Millsaps College. That was his job. So I had no idea where Mississippi was. We got in a U-Haul. We moved here. I enrolled at Murrah High for my senior year, and that's traumatic, moving your senior year. But I moved from Salt Lake City, and I think we all are aware, besides snow, what Salt Lake is popular for, or known for, is the LDS Church. We were not Mormon, growing up there was very informative to me, because not being LDS, and especially middle school and high school, there was a real sorting process that happened, and if you weren't LDS, it was very easily be kind of othered and bullied and just outsider. So I've really always kind of been an outsider. Plus, I started working when I was 13 years old. I was a janitor in a print shop. I used to, 5 days a week after school, take a bus down to Printers Inc., which is an offset print place, and I'd clean the shop floor, do 8 urinals, 5 toilets, and an office. And I did that every day, 5 days a week, and I haven't stopped working since. I got into food service, a buffet restaurant as a cashier, and then a drive-in movie theater, and then when I moved here, I got a job at LaFleur's restaurant. I was their first male cashier. But anyway, so moving to Jackson and going to Murrah, 65% of the brothers and sisters I went to school with were African American. I'd gone to school with 3 people of color my entire life. So this is a real hard thing for me to kind of figure out the Southern culture, and that's where I met Dan Blumenthal. He became my best friend and gave me my first beer and perhaps my first bong hit. And I coasted my senior year, enrolled at Millsaps, 80% off tuition. I was paying the 20% myself. Now I'm kind of whipsawed. I want you to think of the narrative. Started working when I was 13 as a janitor. This wasn't because my dad and mom said, you need to have, you need work culture. It was in order for me to have something, that's what I did. So when I went to Millsaps in 1981, it was a very, very Tony school. And, kids had, really nice cars. And they talked about spring break. And they went to fall break too, and they went like skiing or the beach or the mountains, and I didn't understand all this, and it was very difficult, again, a very difficult acclimation. And I pledged a fraternity. I worked doubles on the weekends. To work in the restaurant business is a double. You work 2 shifts in a row, and you do that to pack the hours in, because I was making minimum wage as a cashier. So I wasn't studying, sleeping through class. I failed out my freshman year. The dean of students called me into his office, said, we're going to put you on academic probation. Your grades are terrible. You're going to have to move home to my house because I'm the dean of students. So I moved home and got my act together and found a job at the other place on the reservoir. It was just opening up. This is the restaurant that was next door to Cock of the Walk. The building's still there, but it was originally called the other place. Ken Jackson had the Cock of the Walk. He opened that. It's going to be a fine dining restaurant. I started waiting tables. I immediately started making more money than I never had in my life. The power of more money per hour meant I could work less. I re-entered school. I became an excellent student, became a straight-A student. Debbie McGregor, for some reason, fell in love with me. I have no idea why. We got married out of college. I went to go work for the old NCR Corporation out of college. I sold large mainframe computers. I did that for about 8 years. NCR was bought by AT&T in 92. In 93, they made the announcement they're going to close the Jackson office, and they're closing the division I worked for. So in other words, Jeff, here are 3 options: Trenton, New Jersey, Dayton, Ohio, or go. And I looked at the 2 options, and there really wasn't something there for us. I started looking for a job in sales. I spent 6 months knocking on doors. I'm the only person who couldn't get a job at SkyTel. I don't know what the problem was. I got very frustrated, and one night I called my best friend from Murrah on the phone, and he was a chef in San Francisco at that point, and I said, Dan, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to lose my job. And he said, I'm not very happy where I am. I'm in my 4th restaurant since culinary school. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And we said, well, what if we went into business together? And we started talking about doing a business, and because he was a chef, he was the tactician, he was the one who knew how to do something, I was just a salesman. But I had worked in restaurants. We talked about opening a restaurant, and we came up with the idea for Bravo. And we put together a 60-page business plan. It was pretty impressive. His younger brother, David, was our original part of our troika. We had 3 of us. I met with a friend of mine from college my senior year. He was my case study buddy at the Yale School of Management. And I made the pitch. I said, we're going to open up this great restaurant. It's going to be called Bravo. It's going to be somewhere in Northeast Jackson. We've got a couple places we're looking at. We've got some basic budgets together. We need $500,000. How do I borrow $500,000? And after he got done laughing, he said, we'll loan you $500,000 tomorrow if you have $500,000 in the bank. And that's one of the things. I'm a little hoarse today because yesterday I spoke to the culinary program at Northwest Rankin and the entrepreneurship class at Mississippi College, because I do try to get out when asked and share my story and share the business story I have, because I think it's very, very empowering. I wanted to open a business, and I was told by the entity, Sandy, that does that, the bank's where you get money, right? They said, not just no, but hell no. We're not going to loan any money to a restaurant, unless you can give us 100% collateral, then we might do it. So most people would, say that's that. I had a lot of grit and I had a lot of desire to do this, and I believed in what we were going to do. And I was very fortunate. Debbie and I, when we first got married, we were so strapped. We used to give out programs at Thalia Mara so we could get free tickets to go into the ballet or the symphony. And we started doing some support work for the ballet. We started a young person support group. We did some fundraisers. I was noticed and asked to serve on the board. So I'm 26, 27, serving on the Valley, Mississippi board. And as I look out on this amazing group of Jacksonians, and so many of you have served in arts groups, this goes over much better with kids when I say, who serves on performing arts boards or museum boards or philanthropies? And David Carey, what kind of people serve on those boards? Rich people, David Carey. Rich people do. And ladies with blue hair. So it's how I met David, it was through Valley, Mississippi. So Howard Stover, Jim Furr, Billy Munger. Those three men were in the ecosystem of Valley, Mississippi, and they listened to me, and I asked them questions, and I said, how do you do your oil deals? How do you do these real estate deals? And they explained how they raised money by selling shares of stock. And I fell back, I talked to an attorney, I talked to an accountant, we put together the business plan. It came 250 pages, and it was the Bravo Limited Partnership offering document. And that's when I really got to work, which was knocking on doors and talking about our dream. I prospected 750 people face-to-face or on the phone. I fed 250 people in our little two-bedroom bungalow at 735 Euclid Avenue in Belhaven. Every Tuesday or Thursday night of every week, I would work the phones and try to figure out when I could get 8 to 10 people into our house, and we would commit to doing a dinner party. And we'd run down to Old Time Deli, we'd buy some meat and cheeses, running up the credit card, we'd put some wine out, do a few dishes, get the folks in, tell them the story, sit them on the sofa, give them the business plan. 750 people prospected, 250 people fed, 44 people said yes and invested $10,000 apiece. And in October of '93, so 30 years ago, we closed the offering, signed the lease for Highland Village, and we started construction. We opened, hey, good to see you. We opened April 7 of '94. And we worked like field hands. We were there every single day, 8 in the morning until 2 in the morning. We never, I forgot that I was married. I was literally having an affair with my business. Debbie started calling it Bravette. It caused huge stress in our lives. My drinking habit started to surface that every night in order to be able to wrap things up, and because I was around all the excitement, and now I'm a big-time restaurateur, I'd have 3 or 4 scotches before going home every night and wake up with a hangover the next morning and go do that. A DUI in 1996 took care of that. Right after the Take a Tasty Bite Out of Crime that I helped for, that fundraiser that we did when we had the celebratory party afterwards to celebrate all the money we raised for fighting crime, I got arrested and spent the night in the Jackson jail. And that was June 26th of '96, the last day I had a drink. It's been an amazing journey. We did Broad Street in 1998. We raised $1.2 million to buy 1/3 of Banner Hall plus fund our business. And we did that in 20 days. I had one meeting down at the old Capitol Inn. 250 of you all showed up. We told the story. We sold 80 $15,000 shares. Katrina happened, Go Zone. They announced Renaissance. Dogwood Place is going to happen. All sorts of development outside of Jackson. Dan and I made a decision that we were going to take a step into the city, and we went down to Taylor Street here in Fondren, and we took the burned out Woodlands restaurant, and the bank did loan us money, and we opened Sal and Mookie's New York Pizza and Ice Cream joint. We moved that during COVID. We had the opportunity when Sophomore Spanish Club closed down. We were offered that space, and Breck Hines and Ted Duckworth, amazing men, amazing, caring Jacksonians who are doing the best they can, made us a deal that made sense. And we were able to move, and I struggle each day. So that's the background to get me where we are. At some point in time, I had amazing twin girls who sometimes talk to me and sometimes don't. One lives in Tacoma, and one lives here in Robin Drive. She works with Atmos. Debbie was a high school Latin teacher for 30 years, then did 5 years at MC as an adjunct, and she is fully retired right now, and she and I have a few rental properties here in Jackson, and she in Fondren, and she is the primary caretaker for that. I've had a long journey, and it's been amazingly satisfying and amazingly challenging. A lot of things changed. David, our third partner, left the business 6 years in. Restaurant business is hard. My partner, Dan, he retired 6 months ago. So a lot of people don't know this because as opposed to me, when I retire, there will be a fanfare parade because I will demand it because my ego is out of control. Dan's like, just let me go. Just please let me be quiet about this. So I bought Dan's interest out last April. And so I've kind of got the whole business down. I'm really, really challenged. Somebody put up on Nextdoor the other day, where's Jeff Good? Is he still alive? And I'm like, I'm just working, just working. I'm in the restaurant business. And the community I'm in, it's a neighborhood business. It's a granular business. We serve people. We make product every day. We bring raw product in, we manipulate it, and then we serve it to you, and we take your money. And that's what we do. We don't work on projects. We don't have spreadsheets and inventory. But we're not creating intellectual property. We have to make food and sell it to somebody, and we can deliver it to you. And this morning, 1,600 women and 5 men were very, very happy with the morning brunch. And tomorrow morning at dawn, we'll be back down there doing it all over again. We're baking right now for 1,600 people. We can move it around, but we still got to have people. And so I think my business, and especially with my longevity here, my business more than many others are impacted when the city is challenged. And my personal, my growing up, my experiences, who I am, I've always been a servant. I've been somebody who served others. I've been somebody who's been on the outside. I was the last kid chosen for the ball teams. Things like that, it's just the truth. My golf game is horrid, but not really, I'm doing better. It's been hard for me to get angry or to lash out about what happens because I'm empathetic to the reality of what's happened in the city, and I'm empathetic to the reality of the Mississippi story, and I'm empathetic to the difference between capital and social justice. Capital is going to move where capital gets its best return, and social justice is a very hard thing to push for and work for, and it's hard. It's dirty, hard work. And if only the two could come together. In Jackson, if only money and the need to see the need to raise and support the least among us could be capitalized upon. And I believed that my friend Jonathan 10 years ago was the right answer in many ways to make that happen. I don't know today who that person may be. I do know that where we are in a city where many, many things have been are dismantling around us, and we have a lot of just really, really broken systems. And I think what's really important is that we find good people who want to put their shoulder to the wheel and really make things happen. And I have an opinion about politics in this. I'm a Democrat. I don't know how I could have, if you have to choose a party, or I could go green. If you choose a party, my life experience more aligns kind of with that experience, but I'm not registered anywhere, and I'm not, you don't see me out, doing state rallies and the like. But with that kind of a belief system, when you think about people and their challenges and the like, for me as a business person, I oftentimes tell people that universal health care and universal child care are two of the best business things in the world. I would have to pay people less money if they had child care and health care. I wouldn't have to pay as much. The argument is, how does one do that? But the point is, the idea of expanding Medicaid just makes a tremendous amount of sense to me from a business standpoint. But I understand there are other issues, and that's where politics, so again, capital, and so, it's where that changes. So to me, Mississippi is a debtor state. The federal government gives us more money than we give them. We're one of the poorer states. We would be very fortunate to take more money and to have more opportunity because we're a shrinking state. The reality is we're getting a little smaller. Take that and place it into Jackson. Take that same model. We are a shrinking city. We are in many ways a failing city. We need outside capital. We need outside care. But to get that money, to partner with the state, there are terms of engagement. Power has power, and power has desires. The other part, a business transaction, when I sold the shares of stock, I had to come up with a plan that said, give me $10,000 to open a restaurant. Who the hell would want to do that, Charlotte? Nobody would want to do that. But what I did is I said, we're going to work for $35,000 salary. That's it. We're not going to hire any managers. We're not going to take a single penny of profit out of this business until you get 100% of your business. I'm talking about Bravo now. Until you get 100% of your money back. While we are paying 100% of your money back, your capital, we are going to pay an 8% interest rate every year on whatever your capital account is, the amount we haven't paid you back. And by the way, when you own a business, for those of you that have business interests, you get a K-1 for the profit, right? So if the business makes a profit or loss, you get a K-1. It says, your business made $100,000, you own 10% of that business, you have a tax bill now for $10,000. Now, the business didn't need to give you $10,000 to pay that, but you have a tax bill. Hopefully, the business releases cash to cover your $3,330 if you're 33% tax bracket. In our business plan, we said, as we are working, we're going to take $35,000 salary, we're going to give you 100% of the money, we're going to pay an 8% interest rate, and we're going to pay you 36% of whatever your tax liability is, and that doesn't count against the payback. So it took $14,500 over 3 years and 8 months of 7-day-a-week work to do that, to pay everyone back their $10,000. And at that point, our investors own 55% of the business. We own 45%, but we forego our profits. We vested into our 45%. And 30 years later, those investors still have 55% of my business that I work at every day. And that's great, because I was nobody. And they gave me something so I could follow my dream. Where are we as Jackson? Is that the kind of deal that, what deal, without selling out the people and the people that are suffering so much in the city, what is the transaction? What are the deals? What can be done? And I think that's one of the conversations we need to have, because the only conversation we do see is things are being either taken away because of safety, water and sewer, because these are life and death things. And I do absolutely think it's absolutely correct, and thank God for Jackson Water. And I have great belief that they will address the issue of where does the $600 million go. If you talk to Ted Hennepin, I understand he's talked to this group before, I believe in him, I believe in Jordan, I believe that both of them understand the importance of building a strong, vibrant, distributed black business class. And that $600 million can help start building some services and service companies and the like. The problem is the current political structure is not happy with this because someone else is making the decisions, and traditional contractors that have been able to always, we've had 9 mayors in 30 years. And if you go back and you think about why there's flip-flops, you can usually find a contractor or contractors involved in the background where they were interested in making sure that their interest, and that's the capitalist society, the capitalist system. This is how it works. So you just have to understand there's a push and a pull. So I'm giving a lot of information here just to say, I think the good question for y'all in the next 2 years of the Jackson cycle, we have an election that doesn't have any municipal elections to speak of outside of House and county, those very important things. But when you talk about city, this is not a city election cycle. It is very important for a county election cycle, and we have very important people. We're blessed to have somebody amazing, Shanda Yates. I'll say it from the top of the mountain. She is truly an independent. She was a Democrat who got kicked out because she voted for us, who live in Fondren. This is about an issue that her party didn't agree with, and she voted for the majority of her constituents, and they broke ranks at that point. So she is a well-heeled and very passionate person. I believe in her a lot. It's important we vote for folks like that, to me. And in 2 years, it's important to do it again. And I don't know who's going to run. And everyone asks me when I'm going to run for mayor. My wife has the answer, and most of you have heard it. Sandy, the answer is? When Jeff says I'm running for mayor, there's a suitcase that I'm going to pull out that's already preloaded. Mark Chin's card is sticking in top, and it says, I've already got him. And there's a lease, apparently, for 1 month prepaid to the district. So I can just go next to work and move into my apartment. I violated my relationship with my wife hundreds of times by always choosing work over her. I'm 60 years old. I'm trying to figure my way through where I am right now. I'm going to vote for Debbie every time and be there for her. So that's not on the agenda. But what I do tell people is We just all need to be awake. Someone's out there. Someone will start talking, and we just need to find somebody who really genuinely wants to bring our entire city together. And I do know this, that the brothers and sisters I meet across the city, everyone is dissatisfied with where we are. No one knows how to get out of where we are. I'm not even sure that everyone in the current administration knows how to get out from where we are. It's a quandary. You know, the administration, the city council are at loggerheads most of the time. It's a tough time. So I'm hoping and pray. Just pray for the health and safety of Jackson. And I figure, you know, it's worked for me in a lot of ways. I've learned through recovery that I am not responsible for any outcomes. I'm not responsible for manipulating anything. I'm responsible for doing the next right thing. So I just try every moment to catch myself when I get over my skis. I hope I haven't gotten over my skis with this. I've tried to speak passionately and honestly about what I know. And if there's a vision for me to share, it's just that we're all really, everyone in the city wants the city to work. There's some people that have other agendas that want to manipulate that. I hope that good people in the city can create the Renaissance and some of these big projects that great cities talking about, and whether or not One Lake, and with all the iterations of that and whatever that means, but big hairy goals like that are fundamentally have changed other cities. We need one of those swing for the bleachers, and maybe something can happen. So that's my story. I'm thrilled now to kind of chat a little bit, but I'm really honored that y'all have taken me in. You know, I've been here for 43 years now, 53 years, 53 years, 50, hell, 50, my God, I'm old. 52 years. And they'll carry, you know, 3668 Cavalier Drive, they're going to carry me out in a pine box, you know. We moved from Avondale 6 years ago, 1 block over to Cavalier. I might as well moved across the moon. It was awful. But we have a lovely home just down here in Cavalier. We're very happy to be here in Fondren, and we wouldn't trade it for anything. And we had more trick-or-treaters the other night than we've had since we moved into our house. It was lovely to see so many kids, because it was not the way it was a few years ago. So it's great. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely.
I'll let you drink some water.
Yeah, thank you.
What would you say are the pros and cons of each city that you have a business in?
So all three of my businesses are here in Jackson. So Bravo, Broad Street, and Salamukis are all here in Jackson. Salamukis, I've been very fortunate to be able to license, which is another word for franchise, license. We did a license agreement in Biloxi a number of years ago. That is now closed. They closed this year. They had a tough time down there. A lot of different things. In Madison, Patrick Munn, Hallie Sappington, if you ever met them, they worked with me at Bravo for a number of years. They're a couple. They wanted to have their own restaurant. We embedded them down at Salamukis, taught them the system, helped them put a business plan together, raise their money the same way we did. They sold 35 shares of stock in one meeting. They've done a wonderful job. They're in Madison. What I noticed is that during the construction process, the planning department and the permit department and the inspection department are very, very business focused and business friendly. They also are very, very strict. So there's two things. They're incredibly accessible. You can get answers in a moment, but they'll also say you're going to do this and this and this, and we're not going to let you budge until you don't. Traditionally, I think in our market, and I've opened some restaurants, there's a lot of generosity in when you say, you know, if I can just get this through. I mean, I know, I'll get there. They're much tighter. Jordan Hillman, when she was at Planning Development, she put the hammer down on a lot of things. So we're much more focused on structure. And with the new website and the way things work, actually permitting is much easier as well. So some of those things have been addressed, but there's still a human capacity because they've just been able to. I mean, when you're in a constant growth mode, you just bring more people in, and they've got a very business forward situation up in Madison. But zoning is real up there. I mean, zoning goes to the mayor. Every decision, a decision for a sidewalk goes to the mayor's office. It's really interesting. So it's a two-edged sword. From a quality of life standpoint, they have a really hard time. I shouldn't say quality of life. From a business standpoint, they have a really hard time finding employees. We all do. They have a particularly hard time in Madison. There are no apartments in Madison. And my business, my industry, is based on first job and second chance. We have people that this is their first job, they're young, etc., or this is their second chance. And I don't mean just incarceration or drug and alcohol. That's a component. It's second chance. I keep screwing up and getting fired. I go here, 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 here. So we constantly, we share employees oftentimes. We get 6 good months out of you, and then, oh, there's that behavior, time to go. There's just not a lot of hourly workers in Madison. And those I think Nissan and the factories up there have done an outstanding job of creating transportation systems and housing to pull people up to north of Madison. So it's easier to find folks here. I'll also say believe it or not, there's more customers for me with upscale restaurants here in Jackson than there are in Madison. Even though there's so much wealth and so much, it's people in this market still from across from the Queens to Eastover, people eat out here. Oh my gosh, I've done so well. Oh, darn it. Yes, ma'am.
With what's going on with the city now, not being able to pay these bills, and yes, the city has shrunk, so that's where some of our money came from, but surely not all of it. Where else is the money come from that is no longer?
Well, let me say this about when you say not paying bills. I don't know if the not paying bills is coming because of the lack of money as opposed to a lack of systems for following up on payment. We have collectively, I've got an $11 million a year business with 220 employees. That's the size of my business. We spend a lot of money. We cut a lot of checks. We do accounting work really, really well. We're known for that within the vendor community. Nobody pays their bills faster than Jeff does. I had a friend who used to work in the city years ago in the finance department, and they were talking about the fact that there's a lot of redundant, strange systems in the way that accounting is worked down there. And part of this is the fact that you keep on having these different administrations come in. Yeah. But at one point in time, they were running a parallel accounting system. They're making 2 posts in 2 different systems because they're trying to decide which way they're going to go. A lot of things fell through the cracks. At another point in time, the way that hourly payroll worked, and this is such inside baseball, but for those of you that have ever owned a business and cut a paycheck, salaried folks are usually paid through the date of pay. So if Friday's payday and you're a salaried person, you're paid through the day. Hourly folks have to have their time calculated. So you usually, if you can pay on Friday, you cut off payroll Sunday night. You process payroll Monday, Tuesday, send it in, pay on Friday. So you're always paying in arrears. You're paying backwards. The city of Jackson, for a very, very long time, every payroll paid people as if they worked 40 hours. And then went back every single payroll and reconciled the previous payroll against the current payroll to reconcile against that. So payroll was 3 times more complex than it needed to be. And I have no idea. And I just think it's one of those things that systems are broken, and then the outcome of the system being broken is the fact we don't have a way to follow up and pay a bill to a contractor. The contractor gets a penalty, then there's $600,000 out the window. Again, I don't know who's to blame.
It's not just broken.
And so if we have a shrinking tax base, if less restaurants are here, if less retail, every time a store closes, that's tax base. It's not just tax, it's property tax. Does it, is the guy paying on the Oyo Hotel taxes? Probably not. So it's not just the fact that the hotel next to Waffle House is closed and overrun with a lot of activity at night, enough to make the Waffle House close. It's cause and effect. I mean, and then there's the money situation. If the property tax isn't paid, then that's going to come back around with less in the coffers. So we just, we need to take care of our business. And being honest about that, I think Chief Wade, the first time I heard him talk, our current chief of police, was very, very honest about 911. It's the first time I've heard something honest about 911 in a long time. The 911 system was not working. I had a very bad situation in the parking lot of Salamikis. I had an abduction. It was a employee friend situation, and a child was abducted, and I couldn't get through to 911. I was blessed that I had access to the chief of police's phone number, Chief Davis, and I called him, and we had 5 cop cars there in 5 minutes. But I went for 10 minutes trying to get through 911. And Chief Wade, when he took the office, he said, 911, there's maybe some tech problems, but it's really the fact we don't have employees. Just like me, I don't have employees. It's no secret. I mean, it's just being honest. It's like it's hard to hire people. So, if we're honest about it, maybe then all of a sudden people say, well, I'll do my civic duty. I want to go work, handle 911. We just need to be honest about our city and be honest about, weird payroll systems and then fix it. Invite somebody in to fix it. I don't know why they made that decision 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 40 years ago, whoever they did that, but it's a really weird way to do payroll. Yes, sir.
Short of you running for mayor, how do we or can we turn this thing around? How can we, I guess, move in a progressive direction?
I think it's awful that we have to talk about how we turn it around because we have elected officials that are in positions, and you would hope that we would all be working together. But again, everyone has the God-given right to worship as they wish, to have certain liberties as long as they don't encroach upon me, and to, I guess when you're an elected official, I mean, we do have a senator right now that is at the U.S. Capitol that is continuing after months of doing this, and now we're about to get into possibly a world war. We're not allowing, officers to be put into positions in the military to keep us safe because there's a personal political belief that the gentleman has, and he has the right within the political system to do that. So our leaders that we elect, once they get into office, they have things they want to do. I don't know why we're unable as an overall community to be more jihad, because I believe, for instance, in absolutely providing the most services to the least among us. I'm not just a social justice warrior on Sunday. I believe it's important that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we're sensitive and think about that. I don't have the conduit as a business person other than to do Refill Jackson. We're doing the nonprofit. We start doing something, but I'm not misaligned. I think with a lot of the narrative that comes out of our current administration's office, but I'm not sure how we work together to do that. I don't know where I don't know where it's and I don't know. When I had to sell the restaurant, I had an agenda to sell a restaurant. It was my job to get to yes with 44 people. I had to get to yes with 44 people to get what I wanted so I could do what I did. It was my job to get to yes. I don't know this administration, previous administrations, future administrations. I don't know what those terms of engagement look like when in a room that I'm not in. I don't understand. But I do understand that the metrics show that we are a severely traumatized city, and that something has to change. And take over. I hate the articles. The water system has been taken over, and the airport's going to be taken over. I will say this: I took somebody to the airport last weekend, and I was coming in from Philadelphia, Mississippi, and I was dropping him off at the airport. I've never come in the backside of the airport before. Never. I didn't even know there was a backside of the airport. How long was that? It was as long as Highland Colony Parkway. It was nothing but trees and signs that JMAA, Jackson Municipal Airport Authority, put up to say it's for lease. That's what this airport thing's all about. There is so much developable land that I never knew existed, and the road's already in place. It's like a Highland Colony Parkway. Well, Jackson owns it, but we haven't developed it. So Rankin County's looking at it going, let's go. So, that's where let's be honest. What else is behind it? I think it's money. So is that a bargaining chip? The whole idea of the district or Highland Village or even Banner Hall, Highland Village owns a piece of property and they lease it out to people like me. We pay exorbitant rates to do our businesses there. We earn money for them by using their property. Got a bunch of property out there, earn me some money. I mean, I don't know what stops that from happening. And the other part is you could enter into an agreement where if you said you wanted to have a participation of certain Jackson contractors certain ways, I think daylight to that. I think